my heart wasn't in it at all. It was a time with a lot of personal, like, confliction. That's when I started to like heavily pursue wanting to be a media and entertainment lawyer, which is what I am now. Hey y'all, welcome to this video. Thank you for joining me. I'm also welcoming myself back because I've been traveling so much this summer, but I'm finally back in DC. So I did a cross-country road trip from DC to LA, and I made a bunch of stops in between, and then I stayed in LA for a couple weeks, and then last weekend I was in Seattle with my brother. So it's kind of been all over the place, but I'm back in DC, and I'm ready to chat with y'all. So I'm going to be making like a little midday snack and making some tea. But meanwhile, I was like, we can do a little snack and chat, and there was something I kind of wanted to share. So I recently did a podcast interview for an old friend, a friend that I knew in college. I knew him through Greek life. We didn't go to the same school. And he was interviewing me about just my journey and stuff. Of course, you always start with, what made you want to do this? Why do you do this? And I don't think I've ever given a full fleshed out answer on this channel, which is kind of interesting because we talk about legal stuff so much. Even on his podcast, I gave an answer, but I kind of wanted to fully flesh it out here. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. So yeah, y'all can learn a little bit more.
Never hesitate to call, 'cause I'm your sister and always for you. And don't know what I'd ever do without you from the beginning to the end. You've always been here right beside me, so I'll call you my best friend.
This story starts all the way back in high school. Senior year of high school, I'm applying to colleges and all that stuff, and now I'm starting to think, okay, what am I going to major in? So in the counselor's office of my high school, there was like a back room with 3 computers, and so I think it was like 2 or 3 computers in there. So I would go back there and I would just be on the computer looking up what I should major in, what I should do, taking quizzes, like all that type of stuff on Google. Math was my favorite subject in high school. I loved math, I loved calculus, all that type of stuff. And so I was looking up stuff to do with math. I was like, okay, what can I do where I can, if math is your favorite subject in high school, what should you do? I remember I asked my math teacher, and he was like, I didn't know what to do with the math major, so I just became a math teacher. And I wasn't interested in being a math teacher, so I'm like, okay, I need to figure out what careers are good if you like math. And I remember one thing that came up was, if you like numbers, if you're good with numbers or whatever, then consider something business related, because that's still like, numbers are still involved or blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, okay, like that makes sense. So I remember I started telling people like, okay, I think I'm gonna, major in business, and, I'm gonna, what did I say? I'm gonna maybe be like a manager of a hospital. I knew a lot of nurses at this time. My mom is a nurse, my sister was a nurse at the time. Like I just know nurses. Like I feel like healthcare stuff was kind of what I had been exposed to, especially like the women in my family were all like somewhat tied to healthcare in some way. So I'm still kind of in that framework, I guess, of like, okay, business, maybe business health. I really didn't know, but business sounded good. So I'm like, all right, we're making some progress. So after that, I'm still searching, still trying to find answers, because even though I had started to say, I'm gonna be like a manager of a hospital maybe, I still never fully felt connected to that. It was just kind of like, okay, I think I'm starting to get on the track of I don't know what career I have to choose. I keep looking up stuff. I'm still in that little back computer in high school looking up stuff. And I remember, actually I don't remember if this was in high school or this was like the summer after high school. I don't know, my timeline is a little But I do remember looking at an article, and the article was about law. And I just remember it was a guy who was talking about his experience in law school, his experience as a lawyer. And something that stood out to me in that article, or whatever it was that I found on Google, he said something like, going to law school is just beneficial because of the way it teaches you how to think. Like you just learn skills that are applicable to life in general. And there was a kind of like a list in that article or something like about all the different things that people have done with law degrees, prominent positions people have, and it's like CEO, politician, lawyer, like correspondent, journalism. Like I just felt like there were all these things that were being listed about like things people have done with their law degree, and I'm like, wow, like this seems like an opportunity opener. Like to me it felt like, oh, this is a direction I can take where I wouldn't be pigeonholed. So I'm like, okay, so I'm kind of keeping that in the back of my mind. I'm kind of thinking like keeping business in the back of my mind. But just law in itself, I remember feeling like, that doesn't really, because you think law, you just think I don't know, at the time I just felt like that sounded like too, I don't know the word for it, but I was like, and then even business, I was like, but then one day searching, I'm on Google and I see business law pops up and I'm like, oh, there's a such thing as business law? Like, I didn't know that. And I was like, wait, that seems like the perfect combination. So once I saw that, that was like, okay, cool. I'm finna go to college and I'm gonna try to focus on business law. Like, that was like my mindset, like business law. That's like, it was the first thing that I had heard during like all my research and findings and blah, 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 that felt like, oh, this could kind of be right, you know, business side, but the math and the numbers, I would still get that math aspect, the law side, which like sounds interesting, sounds like an opportunity opener. I could do both. Like, okay, like let's see what happens with that. So when it came to college, now I'm like, okay, like I'm gonna do business, you know, we'll see what happens. So the college I went to was Duke. I went to Duke in North Carolina, and at Duke there's no business major. So I was like, okay, there's no business major, so, you know, what should I do? So I was looking up stuff and I saw that because Duke doesn't have a business major, what students interested in business tend to do is major in economics because there's a finance concentration through that major. So that's kind of like your way of getting business without them really, they don't have a business school, at least like not the undergrad level. So I'm like, cool, that's what I'm gonna do. I wanna do business law, I think. Cool, I can like major in economics, that sounds good. And then even if I end up deciding I don't want to be a lawyer, then cool, I still have this business degree that still sounds like very usable or whatever. So I'm like, all right, cool. So when I get to college, I don't know how if other schools are like this, but at Duke, everyone was like double majoring in this, double minoring in that. Like, it felt like just having a major wasn't enough. Like, everyone had something else on top of it. They're trying to do this, they're trying to do that. So I remember feeling like, okay, like, I need to add something. I can't just be economics major. Like, I need to add something. So when I decided to add something, I was like, okay, I caught the business side of business law down. Let me try and do the legal side. Like, so I Google was my best friend, y'all. Like, research is your best friend. So I literally Googled what did I say? I Googled what should you major in if your goal is law school? The first thing that came up was philosophy, which I was like, oh, that sounds kind of boring. So I was like, I don't think I would do that. Then political science came up, and that sounded a little bit better, but I wasn't really feeling it. And one of the options was sociology. And basically the article was saying you really should major in something that makes you read and write and think and, you know, discuss and stuff like that. And these were like all good majors for that. So I'm like, okay, sociology. I don't think I really knew what that was. So I'm like, let me take a sociology class. Y'all, I loved sociology. Like, that is like such an interesting field. You learn so much. In sociology, you're learning the invisible rules of our society. Like in law school, yeah, you learn about the Constitution, you learn about what the judges are saying, the courts are saying. They're saying these things like these are the rules of the land. Sociology, you start to realize there are other rules of the land that are just happening, you know, like you start to realize like the social determinants of things. Like, it was just such an interesting field. Like, I have no regrets adding that as a minor. So I'm like, cool, I got the business side covered with economics. I still have like the legal side kind of covered, sociology minor, like everything was kind of like coming together. So somewhere along the way in college, I kind of got discouraged from going to law school. I think I was hearing about like the loans, and there was an article that came out or something about how there was an oversaturation of lawyers and we don't need more lawyers right now. And I think it was like talking about the debt and it's hard to get a job and it's not worth it, and just like all these negative things. And somewhere along the way, like that kind of got to me, and I was like, okay, like maybe I shouldn't do this. So I was like, okay, I'm just throw myself into the business route. I've kind of talked about that before, but long story short, that didn't sit right with me. And I was like, no, like I tried to convince myself that I didn't want to do it no more, but I was like, I still want to do it. Like, something in me just still wanted to do it. So I was like, no, I'm going to take the LSAT. Like, I want to go to law school. Like, this is still my goal. So take the LSAT, apply, go to law school. I go to Columbia in New York. When we get to law school, people are asking me pretty often, like, what kind of law do you want to practice? Which obviously is a natural question. And I'm like, listen, any given day someone asks me that, I would give them a different answer. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do international law. Sometimes I would say entertainment law. Sometimes I would say, like, oh, just like corporate law, then figure it out. Like, and the thing is, like, all these answers were true. Like, all these things sounded interesting to me. And I wasn't really, like, honed in for sure. But one thing I did know through my research and through all the research that I was talking about, especially as I continued to research when I was in college, I knew that corporate law or big law was a jumping point that people use to pay off loans because of their salary, because of the high salaries, and to also learn about businesses and industries and then go from there and do anything. So I'm still looking at law school as like an opportunity generator. I'm not looking at it as like this finite destination where I know I'm going to do this and that's my goal. And I wasn't thinking about it super linearly, I guess. I was thinking about it as like a way to just open doors, really. So I say that because I remember there was a time in college, and I just remember this moment so distinctly. And one of my friends, we were talking about something, and she was like, well, of course Angel wants to something because like she wants to be a lawyer. And I remember having like a reaction, like a gut reaction to that, like, what did I say I want to be a lawyer? Which is funny because that's the conclusion people are going to make. You say I want to go to med school, people are like, yeah, you want to be a doctor, you want to law school, you want to be a lawyer. Like, 1 + 1 = 2. It wasn't a ridiculous statement to make, but I think I hadn't done a good job at that point of articulating to the people around me, maybe even to I think to myself I understood, but maybe to the people around me that like, I really see this as a way to do so many things. I'm not using this as like a means to a certain end. I'm using this as like a means to many ends because I feel like this is a route that won't pigeonhole me. I feel like I had a pretty good idea of what I wanted my immediate steps after law school to be. I knew about big law at this point, so I navigated, once again, law school accordingly. Like, after the first year, when you're just taking the classes that they force you to take, I started picking classes that were really geared towards, the skills I felt like were going to help me in the things I was interested in. So I took international law, but I also took corporate law and M&A and tax, and I took accounting for lawyers and negotiations, like all these things that'll help like with the things I was interested in. But then I still took health law and I still studied abroad, and so I was still like getting a well-balanced experience, but I was still like kind of emphasizing like that businessy side, I guess you could say. Even with the public interest externship that I did my final semester of law school, I still geared that more towards like business transactions type of work. Like, I was helping really small, like micro entrepreneurs, what they call them. We call them neighborhood entrepreneurs, but like, people like selling stuff out their trunk and like doing hair in their living room. Like, those are the people that we were aiming to help. And I still felt like that was a very like entrepreneurship, businessy kind of public interest role, which I liked. So yeah, all that happens and I go to Big Law. So I go to Big Law right after graduating from law school. There are so many different practice areas in law, and now I have to pick a practice area. When I was, kind of asking for advice from people, they were like, it sounds like you should do M&A or cap markets, because those are the business groups that are still transactional, but like you work with a bunch of different types of companies. So I picked capital markets. And one thing about my time as a cap markets attorney, it was a time with a lot of personal, like, confliction. Is confliction a word? Let me see. I was conflicted. Well, I don't know if confliction is a word. Let me see. Is confliction a word? Confliction. Yeah. State of conflict. Okay, yeah. It was a time where a lot of personal confliction. I didn't feel like, I wasn't proud to say like, I'm Angel, I'm a cap markets attorney. Like, that wasn't something that like I was proud to introduce myself as. And I don't know, there was a disconnect, I feel like. I was like dating at the time, and I remember I didn't even really want to date because I felt like I don't want to say my life didn't make sense, but I felt like there was a disconnect. Like, there was. So someone would have came to me and been like, oh yeah, I'm doing this and this and that, and I spent all my time, I'm in this very demanding career, but like, no, it doesn't really align with like who I really am and what I'm really trying to do. I'd be like, that doesn't make sense. And so I felt like, I don't know. It was just a time where I was like, I didn't really like what I was doing. My heart wasn't in it at all. And I'm not someone that can just clock in, do a job, not really care and go home. Like, I need to care a little bit. Like, I need to care about what I'm doing. Like, I need to feel some kind of alignment, even if it's not 100%. Like, we were all born into, these systems, and we're kind of doing the best that we can, but I need to feel a little bit more aligned than I did when I was working in cap markets. I just did not feel super duper comfortable with my everyday job being stocks and bonds for the biggest companies in the world. So I ended up pivoting from capital markets to the early stage, like, venture capital stuff that I was doing at the second big law firm that I was working at. And I think how I got into media and entertainment was more about my personal development, like my relationship to just the creative arts, the arts in general, creativity changed, I think, it did. It changed over time. Like, I personally started like creative writing more. That personal interest and that personal discovery and development is kind of what led me to think like I have to have my job be somewhat like more aligned with my personal interest. And I think one of the cool things about being a media and entertainment lawyer is that you're helping to bring like stories and things to life. So when I do a licensing agreement, like I'm making sure someone gets paid for like the work that they've done, or like the collaborations where you're kind of helping, or the co-production agreements, like you're helping create something, you're helping these things exist, you're helping to protect creators with all of like the IP clauses and stuff like that. Like I felt like, okay, like this is a way for me to feel like I'm furthering this aspect of life along. And that's when I started to like heavily pursue wanting to be a media and entertainment lawyer, which is what I am now. That articles kind of take that this is an industry where it can be a launching pad for other things. So far for me, like I'm starting to see that come to fruition. Like I'm on 2 boards. That's a development too. Y'all know I'm on 1 board, but I actually recently joined another one. The second one is law related, but the first one isn't. It's an arts organization and it has nothing to do with the law. I'm not in a legal role or perspective while I'm on that board, but being a lawyer is definitely part of the reason why I got the job, or I got the role for sure. When I was speaking to the founder, I was able to speak to the work I've done for boards, like on the legal side. Like I've been in the room with them, I've helped them do like governance stuff, all these things. And I was saying like, I can still bring that experience to your board, even if I'm not a lawyer. And I think that was, attracted to them, and that's part of why they voted me in. And so I feel like I'm starting to realize those benefits of taking a legal path and how it can really just open doors for you. Like I was even talking to a friend of mine, and he was saying like the CEO of his company is a lawyer. Like he's not actively practicing, he's a trained lawyer. And that didn't surprise me, because I feel like it is one of those areas that can teach you like a lot of skills, can teach you how to articulate yourself pretty well, clear writing. Like these are things that are helpful in many different like aspects of life. I remember the church that I used to go to in New York, the pastor was a lawyer, and I felt like I could tell by the way that he would explain things like on the pulpit. Like it was he had very clear sermons, like very easy to follow, easy to understand sermons. Yeah, so I feel grateful. I feel like it's worked for me. There's a narrative, I guess, that sometimes people go to law school because they don't know what to do and they feel risk averse. And I can get that perspective, but for me it felt the opposite. It felt like, not like I'm risk averse, I want to fall into something that like I'll always have a job, but I felt more like I'm interested in so many things, and this is something that will propel me to do as many things kind of as I want. I think that it's allowed me to have just duality. One of my friends, she's an artist and she's also a lawyer, and I just know so many lawyers that do so many different things. Like one of my coworkers, he's in a band, and I know like radio hosts and all types of stuff. Like I feel like it doesn't have to be a super confined box. Like when I first joined my first board, I felt like some reactions of like, wait, like, why are you doing that? Not everyone's gonna get it, and it's okay. All right, sorry, my camera died, so let me wrap this up. That's a sign. This can be hard for people to like, not to just get you out of that box they put you in their head. That's something I've realized. People put you in a box in their head quick, and it's not really my job to get myself out of that box in their head, but it is kind of like just interesting, something I've noticed, and something that I don't have to accept for myself. I don't have to put myself in the box that other people put me in for whatever reasons that they do. If I had to summarize, I guess I was interested in law in general because it felt like an opportunity generator, just flat line. And I was interested in media entertainment law specifically because of personal interest, personal discovery, and liking what I was helping and assisting with producing in the world, or helping to exist within the world. So that's it for me. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Please send this video to someone that you think might enjoy it. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you want to see more, because we always have more videos coming, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.